Hello, America. Welcome to your Leo Nation, where we believe in and support the rule of law. I am the Chief, Mark Garrett. Boy, oh boy, fun times. Let me dive right into it. Like I told you before, I'm going to stay on this immigration thing, well, for the foreseeable future, because it's probably the biggest political and law enforcement related issue we have going on right now in the country. It's important. Some of it, quite frankly, is a little bit of amusing from the perspective of my perspective of the Democrats' take on it. Some of the stuff you just can't make up. And as serious of an issue as it is, there are still some jovial sides to it as well, in my humble opinion. So let me jump right into it. So just the other day, we had Operation Trojan Horse in Los Angeles. And Karen Bass is at it again. I mean, this woman is, may I call her that? Does she identify as woman or something else? Maybe as a jackass. I mean the animal. I don't mean personality. God, what are you guys thinking? Anyway, so we had Operation Trojan Horse with another ICE raid in California, in Los Angeles. And let me just get into this and read you an article. By the way, ABC News. By the way, you could probably tell when I just read the article, this is not from a conservative outlet, the take. But again, like I say over and over, I try to spread it around from different political points of view, although these outlets are supposed to be totally objective, right? Just reporting the news, not making it. So here we go. This is August 7th. Operation Trojan Horse immigration raid involving Penske rental truck draws pushback. Now, this is very interesting. In the headline, they talk about the rental company, Penske rental truck. What that has to do with anything, this is why I wanted to read this particular article to you. I have no idea. I mean, they've been Hertz or, I don't know, any number of other companies that rent vans, but they had to mention that, getting pushback from Penske vans. Los Angeles officials said they are considering all legal options after federal agents were seen jumping out of a Penske rental truck. Oh my God! During a controversial immigration raid, more than a dozen undocumented immigrants, we used to call those people illegal aliens, and a DHS still does, or now does again, were arrested near a Home Depot in Westlake on Wednesday. By the way, so Westlake, there's a Westlake Village, which is, I think it's right on the border of Los Angeles and Ventura counties. It's not Westlake Village. That's where a lot of stars live. This is Westlake. Westlake is an area of Los Angeles. It's just west of downtown Los Angeles, kind of between downtown and the Wilshire District out there. And for as long as I've been in law enforcement, as a matter of fact, before law enforcement, because I spent a lot of time, I worked in an art gallery not too far from Westlake. And for as long as I can remember, my adult life, that area, we kind of called it 7th and Alvarado. Those are the cross streets we talked about. And 7th and Alvarado in Westlake, that was known as the counterfeit document capital of Los Angeles, probably Southern California, and maybe in all of California. If you wanted a fake ID, or if someone got a fake ID, you either went down there or you assumed that they got the fake ID from 7th and Alvarado. It's been like this for a long time, a long time. So the point is, the firemen went to where the fire is. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's the point I'm trying to make here. Federal officials said in what was dubbed Operation Trojan Horse, the operation came days after a federal appeals court upheld a temporary restraining order against indiscriminate federal immigration stops and arrests in 7 Southern California counties, including Los Angeles. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass said the city is considering all legal options. Now, by the way, here's the irony. In this particular case, the good mayor of Los Angeles is now considering all legal options. The irony is that she's considering all legal options to protect illegal aliens residing within her city. That's why I said some of this stuff is just too good to be true. It's just too good to be true. Why don't you consider all illegal options, Mayor Bass? You're housing, harboring, and I think hiding illegal aliens. They broke the law. They don't give a damn about it. Why would you want to consider legal options? Anyway, she's considering all legal options following the raid, which she claimed looks like the exact same thing that they were seeing before the temporary restraining order was issued. You mean doing their job? You mean looking for people here who are here without our permission? It's hard for me to believe that the raid was consistent with the court order that said you cannot racially profile, you cannot racially discriminate. The mayor said during a press conference on Wednesday. Oh my God, what a leader this lady is. We are not going to accept the situation. Oh, yes, you are. Yes, you are, Karen. And a Karen you are. You are going to accept the situation because there's not a damn thing you can do about it, because these people are in violation of federal law. When I say these people, I mean ones that came here without our permission. So there's not a damn thing you can do about it other than get up on your podium, behind your podium, and squawk and crow and scream and cry. You can do that, but there's not a legal leg you have to stand on, Karen Bass. Not one. The temporary restraining order was issued in July as part of a class action lawsuit seeking to end what it alleges are unlawful immigration stops and arrests. The federal appeals court upheld the order on August 1st in what Bass called a victory for the city of Los Angeles. Can you imagine calling this a victory for the city of Los Angeles? An effort to continue to house and secrete people who should not be here in the first place, not legally be here in the first place. And this, the mayor of the second largest city in the United States, calls a victory. Mohammed Tassar, Tajsar, you go ahead and sound it out. I'm not going to try. A senior staff attorney at the ACLU Foundation of Southern California, which represents plaintiffs in the lawsuit, which are here illegally, said they are investigating the incident at the Home Depot and other raids reported in the region since Saturday. In a statement, he said the evidence available so far raises serious concerns that the federal government may be in violation of the order. By the way, so this guy, this joker represents the ACLU, right? What does the A stand for in ACLU? American? Maybe he should be representing for the ICLU, the Illegal Civil Liberties Union, because he's representing are not Americans. And in this case, he's representing people who want to remain here illegally, who want to avoid contact with federal agents in violation of federal law. The United Farm Workers, one of the plaintiffs in the case lawsuit, also said it was deeply troubled by the raid. Well, isn't that nice? While more investigation is needed, we have serious concerns that the federal government may be in violation of the federal judge's TRO, temporary restraining order, the organization said. Well, let them prove it. Take it to court. Go ahead and stop them. It's not going to happen, folks. It's just not going to happen. A DHS spokesperson said Border Patrol agents conducted a targeted raid at the Home Depot. The operation, dubbed Trojan Horse, resulted in the arrest of 16 illegal aliens from Guatemala, Mexico, Honduras, Nicaragua, the spokesman said. When reached for comment on the pushback on the raid, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol spokesman referred ABC News to DHS spokesperson statement. Obviously, same umbrella organization. Acting Los Angeles U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley issued a warning following the Home Depot raid. For those who thought immigration enforcement has stopped in Southern California, think again, Asaley said in a statement on social media accompanied by footage of the raid. The enforcement of federal law is not negotiable. There are no sanctuaries from the reach of the federal government. This is exactly right. Look, Los Angeles, look, Chicago, look, San Francisco, and all these other states, you name them. You are the ones, you are the government bodies that decided to become sanctuary, whatever you are. Sanctuary city, sanctuary state, sanctuary this, sanctuary that. Like Martha's Vineyard, I think it was. They were a sanctuary town, city, whatever it is, until illegal aliens got shipped there, and all of a sudden they weren't anymore. But I digress. So you're the ones who decided to involve yourself in federal issues. You did. Not the federal government first. You decided to house and to secrete and to move around and to coddle people who should not be here in the first place, who are here in violation of law. And now you're pissed off the federal government is using its constitutional authority, entering your cities and contacting and arresting these people who are in violation of federal law. The article goes on, but I do want to move on to a second related, in a way, a couple of ways, I guess, at least one article. This is also immigration, of course. This is interesting. Remember, the headline in that ABC article there was about pushback because of the DHS using Penske rental vans. Listen to this. IndyCar pushes back on Department of Homeland Security's AI-generated imagery for Speedway Slammer. Now, have you heard about Speedway Slammer? That's our newest facility housing illegal aliens in Indiana. But let me read this article. The funny thing about this one, it's I believe this was the one from Sports Outlet. I could be wrong. Yeah, I think this is one from CBS. I don't want to misrepresent. But anyway, so let me scroll on down here real quick. Kind of reading this cold turkey. The article was, the headlines what I was interested in. IndyCar officials have made efforts to distance themselves from social media posts by the Department of Homeland Security, which used IndyCar imagery to tout plans for the Speedway Slammer, a planned immigration detention facility in Miami County, Indiana, 75 miles north of Indianapolis. The DHS used an AI-generated image of an IndyCar-style vehicle racing in front of a prison-like building with the IndyCar featuring ICE sponsorship logos. This is awesome. Now, again, I'm going to be honest with you here real quick. I'm going to be totally upfront. So Penske vans in the first article, and IndyCar and the Indianapolis Speedway, they're all owned by the same person or his, subsidiaries. That's Roger Penske. Roger Penske, he's 88 years old. He's been around auto racing, 70 years. And he's an icon. I mean, he is the Michael Jordan of motorsports. He is the Tom Brady of motorsports. You take the most iconic sports figures in any sport, and he is that when it comes to motorsports. He's in IndyCar, he's in NASCAR, he's in a lot. And by the way, as far as I know, he's I think he endorsed Mitt Romney, which I'm not a fan of, by the way. I believe that he endorsed Donald Trump. I believe, I could be wrong, but this I'm pretty confident of. He's not a lefty. He's not a liberal, not a left-wing person. I've never met Roger. I've been around motorsports as a fan for a long time. I know a lot of people who know him very well. My guess is he doesn't lean left. Very respected. They call him the captain in the industry, and a brilliant guy. And he's made motorsports in so many ways what they are today. I say that because of what I'm reading the article here, just so you guys get a perspective, and so you understand that I tell you everything I know about Roger Penske in this regard. Following Tuesday's announcement by the Department of Homeland Security that it plans to expand detention space by about 1,000 beds at the Miami Correctional Facility in partnership with the state of Indiana, IndyCar expressed surprise that its imagery and likeness was used for the announcement, and said it has expressed that it would prefer not to have its intellectual property used in connection with the project. I think that this is more about, again, intellectual property than it is about maybe political philosophies on the part of the Penske organization. I understand this. They own images. By the way, DHS didn't actually use specific images. They used some AI stuff that looks a lot like it. I did look at the image, and it looks like an IndyCar. I get it. But this is just too funny that Penske, through no fault of his own, is involved kind of way, in an ancillary way, in both these capers going on, one in the city of Los Angeles and one out here in Indiana. We were unaware of plans to incorporate our imagery as part of yesterday's announcement, IndyCar statement read. Consistent with our approach to public policy and political issues, we are communicating our preference that our intellectual property not be utilized moving forward in relation to this matter. The Speedway Slammer, here's going to talk about this. The Speedway Slammer is the latest immigration detention facility touted by the Department of Homeland Security as part of the U.S. government's crackdown on illegal immigration, following the establishment of Alligator Alcatraz in Ochope, Florida. The DH spokesperson said there were no plans to change the imagery used in response to IndyCar, but the post containing the image was deleted from X by Friday afternoon. So here's the thing. My wife and I were talking about this, about Speedway Slammer. And, I hear this and I hear Alligator Alcatraz, and I crack up. My wife said, you know what, Mark, maybe they're going too far and using, kind of these, I don't know, cartoonish or, I don't know, names for these facilities. And I told her, I said, dear, look, I get what you're saying, but here's my take on this when it comes to actually enforcing immigration, actually reversing this trend. By the way, the trend, like a year ago, June of 24, we had about 200,000 crossings at our southern border. 1 month. June of this year, zero. So you ask yourself why? I mean, did we like quadruple the number of personnel at the border and put up razor wire and landmines and moats? And no. Most of the reason that people are not crossing the border anymore is because they know now if they get caught, number one, they're going to be contacted and arrested. And number two, if they get here and commit any crimes, they're going to be prosecuted here for those crimes, in addition to later on being sent back. It's kind of a self-cleaning oven. So going back to the naming of, Speedway Slammer, yeah, it's kind of out there, and people might call it any kind of, names, childish or whatever. This is the point. I believe with every molecule in my body that Donald Trump either came up with this or he was 100% behind naming this. Same thing with Alligator Alley, along with DeSantis, Alligator Alcatraz. It's because he knows it is a trap that the moronic left-wing Democrats will not fall into, they'll jump into head first. So what are they talking about now, ladies and gentlemen? They're talking about Alligator Alcatraz and how cruel that is, and these alligators and snakes and blah blah blah. And now they're talking about the Speedway Slammer, and they're talking about how cruel and how callous this is. This is free publicity. It is free marketing about the mentality of this administration. You can call us what you want to. You can say that we're immature with these funny names. You can say we're not taking it seriously. You can say, and you are doing just that. You are telegraphing to the entire world what's going to happen if you come here and cross our borders without permission. This is your fate. You will be detained. You will be apprehended. You will be sent back home, and or you will be prosecuted for other crimes on this soil. So I'm all about Speedway Slammer. I'm all about Alligator Alcatraz, and I hope there's something else coming up really funny that the Democrats will lob onto, and they'll start complaining as loud as they know how, and they're going to telegraph this administration's philosophy around the globe. And our southern and northern borders will remain secure in no small part because the message is being disseminated by some of Donald Trump's greatest detractors, and I love it. Outstanding. So we're going to move on a little bit here. I want to talk about this. No more immigration for today. But this is about the lack of law enforcement. Just like Karen Bass, just like the other libs who don't give a damn about federal law, in my estimation, about so many other laws. This one is, and Anthony, I tell you what, well, I have to hold off for a second. I'll have you play it in a minute, but let me get into this article here just a little bit. Maybe some of you have heard about this, maybe not. This is, you know, as used to I and many of you listening or watching are to radical left-wing judges, these, I said, these bandits, these crooks in black robes. It's all they are. In so many times, not all of them, but in so many instances. Man caught on video attacking pro-life protesters gets slapped on the wrist by judge. Patrick Bryce gets home detention. When you see this video, if you haven't seen it, you'll know why I'm so pissed off about this. Patrick Bryce gets home detention after assault of left a 73-year-old victim with permanent eye damage, report says. Not just report says, it did leave him with permanent eye damage. A 20-year-old man who was caught on video attacking two pro-life activists outside a Planned Parenthood clinic in Baltimore was sentenced this week to a year of home detention and 3 years of probation. Actually, I'll stop right there. Anthony, go ahead and play that short. This is a short clip. No audio. Go ahead and play it. Okay. For those of you who are watching, not driving down the freeway and just listening, you see what we're dealing with here. And 73 and 84-year-old. It's in the article here, but I'm just jumping ahead to tell you the 73-year-old, that was bad enough. Second guy's 84. You saw this monster attack and beat. Baltimore Circuit Judge Yvette M. Bryant rebuffed prosecutors' calls for a 10-year sentence against Patrick Bryce, 28, after he was found guilty of 2 counts of second-degree assault and reckless endangerment in in relation to the May 2023 incident, according to the Baltimore Banner. What about my rights and my well-being? One of the victims in the attack, Mark Crosby, who was 73 years old at the time, reportedly shouted at Bryant on Thursday as she left the bench, and good for him. What about his rights, ladies and gentlemen? This man was viciously attacked. He could have been killed were it not for the second elderly gentleman that rushed in to break up that initial attack, and then became a victim himself. Bryce said on March 26, 2023, he intended to debate Richard Schaefer, the other victim, who was 84, about the concept of sin outside the Planned Parenthood facility, but then lost it. After Schaefer made what he perceived to be a racial remark, the Baltimore Banner reported. Now, Schaefer, by the way, unless you're a CNN reporter, you can look at Schaefer and say, this guy does look like he's white. But again, CNN might call him, well, he probably would call him white. Well, in this case, because CNN actually is pro-Planned Parenthood, they probably would call the guy by his right color. I'm so confused when you're talking about CNN because it's all agenda and not objective based. Surveillance video showed Bryce shoving Schaefer into a flower pot and then assaulting Crosby when he rushed into his aid. I just snapped one day, Bryce was quoted by the Baltimore Banner as saying in court Thursday before apologizing to both men. As part of his sentence, Bryce must complete anger management classes, undergo drug and alcohol screening, and remain in therapy. The website said, what does that mean, remain in therapy? Indefinitely? Forever? I don't know what it means, but it's not enough. Let me ask you this, folks. If someone sets fire to a house, just burn it down, do they get to be sentenced probation and go to fire management classes? Well, I only did it once. I just snapped. I was so angry with this person. And so I went and I set a little trash can fire and burned their house down. I didn't mean to, and I really apologize. Do they get to go to some type of diversion program because they only did it once, as far as we know here? And they didn't really mean to do it, and they just quote unquote snapped. Why is it? Now, I'll give you my answer. It's rhetorical for a lot of you because you know my feelings on this stuff. Why is it that this thug in a black robe, also known as a judge, why is it that she allowed this monster who attacked two elderly men, came close to killing really both of them, that second one, and maybe we'll show his face, maybe we won't, because I don't know what YouTube to banish us forever. But why do you think? Now, by the way, I tried to look up this lady's history. It's so hard to find any stuff, their ruling history. Maybe it's out there someplace, but I just couldn't find it readily. I wonder what her feelings are about Planned Parenthood. I'm just asking the question. I wonder what her feelings are about people praying in front of Planned Parenthood. I wonder about that. I wonder what her positions are personally about previous Planned Parenthood constitutional issues, other criminal cases that have been adjudicated over the years. And there are a lot of high profile ones out there. I wonder about that. I wonder what her position is with Roe v. Wade. I wonder what her position is when it comes to states' rights in regards to abortion. I just wonder. Not really. If I had to take a guess, it would be an easy guess to make. See, here's the thing. This guy, he could have committed mayhem. He actually injured these people. Certainly with one of these guys is going to have a lifelong debilitating injury. And this guy gets probation. If you told me he got 18 months in state prison and then 3 years or 5 years probation, maybe I could swallow that. Maybe I could say, okay, does he have any criminal history before? Does he have anything at all? Any death threats, anything at all, that he's made anything, nothing at all, a squeaky clean record. Maybe I could see a year and a half in state prison. I wouldn't be happy about it, but I said, okay, he's going nothing. This is absolutely, you talk about rule of law. How in the heck? Look, folks, this says to the next maniac out there, yeah, you know what? You could walk down, just, punch somebody in front of Planned Parenthood and just say, I snapped. Because just punching somebody once, maybe in the gut or the face, just doing that doesn't even come close to what this animal did to these two old men. Not even close. So how could this same judge or another judge in the same jurisdiction send somebody to even county jail for 6 months just for punching somebody, if this guy can get away with it for kicking and tackling and punching these two old guys here? How is it possible? This is where the rule of law falls apart. This is in Colorado. This is whack job Colorado at work here. And my guess is that this lady on that bench is a whack job herself. Listen to this. This was not a minor altercation between two parties with differing views on abortion. It was a vicious, targeted assault on two senior citizens with whose only offense was praying for expectant mothers and offering life-affirming alternatives to abortion. Tom Breccia, the president and chief counsel of the conservative law firm Thomas More Society, said in a statement. And it goes on and on, the article, and I won't read the rest of that to you. But this just, if you cannot put someone in state prison for 12 months for this, what do you have to wait for? What has to happen for you to send them to state prison? By the way, let's go ahead and do what we do all the time. Let's turn the tables. Let's say these were two people of color and the same white guy, and they're flying, whatever it is, whatever. Maybe they're Planned Parenthood, maybe. But if they're doing something else, if they're talking about voter rights or Black Lives Matter, you pick the cause that they're peacefully demonstrating about, and have the same white guy come down and do the same thing to them. What do you think this judge would have done? honestly, what do you think would have happened to this animal if he had done the same thing, if the immutable characteristics, i.e. skin color, were different? Final article of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Another example of just, I say piss poor. Piss poor, it kind of sounds like he tried and he failed. If you made an honest mistake, you're just not up to the task. By the way, that might be the best assessment here, not up to the task. This is a Fox News article, by the way. I want you to hear this one. This is prosecutors. Oh, by the way, I said Colorado a minute ago. My mistake. That was actually in Baltimore with the Planned Parenthood caper. That was in Baltimore. So there you go. I think Colorado's the one coming up right now I'm going to talk about. But listen, pick the geographic region, pick the city, and I'll give you the outcome from the judge on the bench almost all the time. Prosecutors plan to drop charges against sex offender and elementary school alleged kidnapping attempt. Parents submitted a 10-page letter demanding review of school's handling of frightening kidnapping attempt. And by the way, to me, this is an ancillary issue about how the school dealt with this, or how the school, what the school's policies were on security, things like that. Those things can always be looked at, should be looked at, can do a better job. But the most important here is about the person who committed the crime, right? I think we can all agree on that. Do we lock our doors tonight or do we not? That's our fault. But anybody coming through our front door, whether it's locked or unlocked, is violation of law. So I just want to get that straight here. I think this comes up again in the article a little bit. I'm not too concerned. Maybe I should be, but I'm more concerned about the perpetrator. Prosecutors in Colorado, yes, the previous one was in Baltimore. This was in Colorado. Plan to drop charges against a registered sex offender. Now, folks, almost knocked my headphones off there. That's a thing. Against a registered sex offender. Means he's done it before. Accused of trying to kidnap a child from an elementary school because he was found incompetent to stand trial. Got that? They dropped the charges. He's on videotape. And Anthony, I'll tell you right now, just real quick. You can just show the tape, just real quick. It's not super clear, but it's also undeniable. You see what's happening there. Okay. So this, I'm sure, along with other evidence, but this is the evidence they used, the police used, the prosecutors used to go after this guy. And now the charges are dropped because he's a crazy person. The 18th Judicial District Attorney's Office, which covers Arapahoe County and includes Aurora and Littleton, informed Fox 31 on Friday that it intends to dismiss charges against Solomon Galligan. The 30-year-old faces one count of attempted kidnapping after he allegedly tried to take an 11-year-old boy during recess at Black Forest Hills Elementary School in April of 2024. Aurora police previously reported that Galligan is a registered sex offender with his registration tied to a Pueblo County Sheriff's Office. Anthony, you can put his image up there if you want to. But his face alone might get us kicked off of YouTube. Anyway, after the arrest, Galligan underwent a mental competency evaluation that determined he was unfit to stand trial. As a result, prosecutors claimed they have no choice but to drop charges when a defendant is found mentally incompetent to stand trial and is being civilly committed for mental health treatment. We are legally obligated to dismiss charges per state law, the district attorney's office told Fox News Digital. Here's my question. He's a registered sex offender, but he was out walking around. What system do they have? Now, again, I don't know. Is every registered sex offender going to spend their lives in prison, the rest of their lives in prison? Probably not. Did he ever go to prison? That I don't know. If he did, for how long? When did he get out? What are the circumstances? But here you have a case. I'm wondering, what does that? Does he stay in the mental ward for the rest of his life? My guess is in Colorado. See, here's a problem. No, I would guess no, because the guy was already out after having been registered as a sex offender. However, we have until the end of the month to file a formal motion to dismiss. That has not occurred yet. That's from the DA. But they're saying that, the jig's up. They don't have any choice here per state law. And that might be the case. It may be the case there. They don't have any, recourse here. Gilligan. Yeah, it is Galligan. Sorry, Gilligan. Galligan's guilt is not the issue for prosecutors. The alleged crime was captured on video that showed a man chasing after and grabbing a student as other children ran away. It's super scary to watch. Dante White, whose child encountered the suspect, told Fox 31, when the incident happened, especially seeing the perpetrator, the pictures of him, I would be freaked out if that guy touched me. No kidding. It was an attempted kidnapping. In the aftermath of the incident, parents of the Aurora school submitted a 10-page letter to Cherokee Creek School, blah, 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 demanding an independent review of the school's handling of the security, things like that. And the article goes on, and I get that. There's no problem from my point of view of, hey, could the school have done something better to ensure the security of its kids, on an ongoing basis? And the answer is it's almost always yes. In other words, because you're always trying to upgrade things like this. I don't know the details about that, but the problem is here. I'm wondering in beautiful blue Colorado, and I don't know anything about Littleton and Aurora, things like that. I've spent time in Colorado, but I don't know what the political makeup is there. But I wonder how many of these same parents voted for representatives who made it a law that whack job like this cannot be convicted even when he's on videotape of committing a heinous crime. I'm wondering how many of the people in that area, in Littleton and Aurora, and in Colorado in general, because we're talking about state laws here, how many people either voted for it was a referendum or it was a law passed in their state legislature by representatives that they voted for? How many people who are angry about this, and they should be angry, but how many of these people are angry about it and voted for the representatives that instituted this type of law? Pardon me. I'm wondering, is there, and I couldn't find it, maybe you guys can do some research, put it in the comments, I'd love to hear, is there an ability now to commit this person to a padded room for the rest of his life? Look, there are some people, ladies and gentlemen, whether it's because they have an evil criminal mind or because their mind is so dysfunctional, their mental capacity, their emotional capacity, their capacity for sympathy and empathy, it is so degraded that they can't function in open society. That is a fact that too many people don't want to confront, refuse to accept. If you cannot criminally convict a person like this, your only option, if the law is based on the fact that he's mentally incompetent or the assessment is mentally incompetent, you have to have some type of remedy to take this monster off the streets. It can't be, well, we can't convict him, we're going to send him to therapy for 3 weeks, and he's back on the street. He's already a registered sex offender, and he was out walking around. By the way, are you telling me that when this person was arrested for whatever that offense was before, that there was not a mental evaluation done at that time? That some mental health care professional could not discern the fact that this guy needed to be kept away from civilized society? Are you telling me that? That's another black guy on Colorado. Because this person, by the way, maybe he went downhill in the last, since he was arrested. Maybe that's what happened. I doubt it. This person is a poster child for people who have to be separated from society for society's safety. And by the way, his own. He probably can't take care of himself very well. But that's secondary. The primary reason is for the safety of innocent people. So thanks, Colorado, for letting this guy back out. Thank the good Lord for this child and this child's family that this monster was not successful in kidnapping him, especially knowing the fact that he's already a registered sex offender. So we can only guess what might have happened to that child had this abduction been successful. Get it together, Colorado. Get it together, libs. The rule of law is the way to keep society safe. Get this monster and other like him off the street. For your Leonine, oh boy, did I get that wrong. And don't edit that out, Anthony. Don't. I'm going to go right back and fix myself. For your Leo Nation, I am the Chief Mark Garrett. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. Support and defend the rule of law and the men and women out there who enforce it for us. See you next time.